Hello Summoners, I'm Cass, otherwise known as Sneeko, one of the founders of Grey Frontier Recoded, here to deliver our next update in the Recoded project, Update 26, the Recovery Reduction. In this update, we will be discussing the first round of balance changes players can expect coming to Recoded. We will elaborate on how we anticipate players' engagement with these changes and why we believe they are necessary. In the original Brave Frontier, recovery was always a stat that was at the bottom of everyone's priority list when it comes to its usefulness. Our goal is not to make the game fundamentally harder with these changes, but to add more value and weight to the recovery stat and make healing properties more impactful in the dungeon experience. Currently, we are looking at cutting the recovery stat massively by reducing the unit's base amount by 90% or even 95% of what its original value was. Lord, Anima, Breaker, and Guardian will all be receiving a 95% reduction, whereas Oracle and potentially even Rex will be receiving a 90% reduction. Players will now have access to collecting Spear Frogs and Imps much earlier into their playthrough. Earning these units will be the same as before, given away through daily logins or campaign events. We primarily expect players to be earning these characters through our revised merit shop system, which will offer more merits, more challenges such as dailies, weeklies, and monthlies, as well as an overall larger quantity of items available for purchase. With 2 spears available from the start, players will have more diversity in how they build their squad. You could have a recovery stat boost paired with a defensive healing spear, or go all out on attack and critical damage while leaving recovery to a designated healer in the squad. Now to discuss Imps. For the sake of simplicity and balance, Imps will not be under the effect of our previous mentioned nerfs to recovery. This means that even when adding 20 plus points to the recovery stat from using Recovery Imp Fall, that 20 plus will not be affected by the 90 to 95% reduction, still allowing players to hit higher stats of recovery while not making it too high to the point where it holds no value. We would like to note that these values are not set in stone. This will be tested during our alphas and betas and will be tweaked according to player feedback. Throughout the bigger part of Brave Frontier's lifetime was an excess amount of ways to receive healing, whether this was from collecting heart crystals, using hotbar items, or receiving unit buffs such as instant heal, heal over time, spark heal, and much more. With these changes, we do not anticipate the game's content being much more difficult to complete. We also anticipate that this will add more value to the synthesizer for crafting healing items, as well as making spears with healing properties have a much bigger impact on your squad building decisions. The end goal is to make healing more impactful, as well as avoid having every unit essentially being their own healer. When looking into all the various options players had in the game to build up a unit's strength, 2 key things stuck out to us: Spear Frogs and Imps. Our final change with the recovery reduction will be the way heals and skills will be interacting with each other. In the original game, the amount of healing granted by the game was scaled on a percentage value of the unit's recovery. Rather than having a base stat of 1000 healing plus the percentage of the unit's recovery, it will now be your entire recovery stat, plus the amount of healing the current item or ability grants to the player. This will, in turn, give players more predictable and accurate statistics to build their squads more informatively and decide what healing items they want to bring. This will also give the developers an easier time when nerfing or buffing a unit's healing ability. Overall, less RNG, more transparency, and easier balance management in the long term. Let's take a look at some units like 2-star Fencer Vargas, for example. After the reduction, their recovery stat will go from 448 down to 22 points, a massive nerf indeed. However, if we include the plus 80 the recovery imps will grant us, we are now at 102 recovery per heart crystal. And with an HP pool of only 2k, this will make their gameplay feel similar to before, but with added impact when healing. Now, let's look at the 5-star unit, Fire God Vargas. With a recovery stat of 1082 reduced down to 54, players will be able to use Imps to increase this stat by 200 for a total of 254, which, for a unit health pool of 4k, sounds fair in our current assessments. Even with the numbers mentioned previously, there are still other factors at play to increase this number, such as leader skills, spears, or potentially 2 spears, extra skills whether from Elgif or unit's extra skill, friend leader skills, and other buffs granted inside the dungeon, like increase the recovery stat for 3 turns, or even increase heart crystal drop rate. We have been working on a Google Sheet to show off all these numbers and changes coming to Recoded, and we anticipate having this made public to the community come 2026. Finally, what's new to our combat scene this update? As mentioned at the end of last year, we are going through a refactoring of our project to facilitate the introduction of new coding members into the team. Even so, our coding team has been hard at work in delivering more gameplay updates to us for this update. While these may be considered minor changes, they are essential in having a complete battle scene. In Update 26, we have 3 new features to unveil, starting with chests. Enemies now have the opportunity to drop chests upon elimination. Their contents will range between Zell, Pharma, items, or something more sinister. Don't want to take the chance of getting something sinister potentially killing your squad and ending the mission? Players now have access to the Wave Proceed function after a chest is dropped. This will be important once we have the Mimic enemy implemented. And finally, our target marker is now animated, faithfully reborn just as it was in the original Brave Frontier. Click on the enemy unit you want your team to attack and let the sparks fly. Thank you for watching and for all your support, Summoners. We will see you in Update 27, where we will be discussing something the community has long been waiting for: playtest possibilities! Thank you for watching and for all your support, Summoners, and we will see you in Update 27, where we'll... from using Recovery Imp Fall, that 20 that... God, sorry. Don't want to take the chance of something getting... Oh, gosh.